Imagine traveling back in time, long before Silicon Valley, long before microchips, long before anyone could imagine that one day we would carry a computer in our pocket. In the ancient world, in the city of Alexandria, knowledge burned brighter than any screen we know today. Inside its legendary libraries, surrounded by philosophers, astronomers, and mathematicians, a new way of thinking was quietly taking shape. A way of thinking that would one day evolve into what we now call computation. And from that world, lost to fire and centuries, emerged an object that would rewrite our understanding of technological history, the Antikythera Mechanism. For nearly 2,000 years, it rested silently at the bottom of the sea until a group of sponge divers stumbled upon a Roman shipwreck. Among statues, pottery, and treasure, they found a lump of corroded bronze. It looked worthless until it cracked open. Inside were gears, inscriptions, and mechanical structures that should not have existed in that era. Scientists would spend decades trying to understand it. Today, we know it was a 2,000-year-old analog computer capable of predicting eclipses, tracking planetary positions, and modeling astronomical cycles with astonishing precision. Some of its gears were crafted with a level of accuracy that humanity wouldn't achieve again until the 18th century. It was, in every sense, a technological time traveler, proof that the roots of computation stretch far deeper into history than we ever imagined. Centuries later, during the Islamic Golden Age, another brilliant mind would push the boundaries of what machines could do. His name was Jazari, an engineer whose creativity blended mathematics, mechanics, and art. In his famous book, he described more than 100 automated devices, water clocks that regulated themselves, hydraulic systems that maintained constant flow without human intervention, and even mechanical musicians who played instruments aboard a boat. The most extraordinary part is that these musicians could be reprogrammed by adjusting small internal pegs, the same fundamental idea behind early computer programming. Jazari wasn't just building machines. He was building concepts that would become the backbone of robotics, automation, and control systems. For centuries, his inventions were treated as curiosities, but in reality, they were the first steps toward the automated world we live in today. For a long time, these mechanical marvels were dismissed as clever toys. No one imagined that the principles behind them, gears, sequences, feedback control, would one day power assembly lines, industrial robots, and automated data processing. But the story of innovation is never a straight line. It's a river that flows across centuries, carrying ideas from one civilization to the next. That river leads us to the 17th century, where a philosopher named Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz was obsessed with a dream, a universal language capable of expressing all human thought with perfect logic. In pursuing that dream, he discovered something revolutionary, that everything could be reduced to two states, 0 and 1. From that insight, he created the binary system. What he saw as a philosophical tool would become the language of every modern machine. Every computer, every smartphone, every artificial intelligence system speaks in the zeros and ones that Leibniz imagined centuries ago. Without knowing it, he had created the DNA of the digital world. A century later, in a noisy textile workshop in France, another inventor would unknowingly shape the future. Joseph-Marie Jacquard, the son of a weaver, wanted to simplify the grueling work of textile production. His solution was a loom controlled by punched cards. Each card contained instructions, and a sequence of cards formed a program. What Jacquard saw as a practical improvement for weaving became the first true system of stored instructions. Punched cards would dominate computing for more than 100 years and directly inspire the earliest computers. A loom, designed to weave fabric, had taught humanity how to weave code. Meanwhile, in England, a mathematician named George Boole believed that logic could be expressed through mathematics. From that belief, he created Boolean algebra, a system where and, or, and not are not words, but mathematical operations. Every digital circuit, every processor, every algorithm relies on these operations. Boole never saw a computer, but without his logic, computers could not exist. And then there was Charles Babbage, a visionary of the 19th century who imagined a machine capable of performing any calculation. His analytical engine had memory, a processing unit, input and output systems, and programs stored on punched cards. It was, in essence, a modern computer, designed in 1837. Although it was never fully built, its architecture inspired generations of engineers. Working alongside him was Ada Lovelace, who realized that the machine could manipulate symbols, not just numbers. She became the world's first programmer. Today, when you unlock your phone, when an app recommends a video, when an algorithm decides what you see online, you're using principles invented centuries ago. When your device processes data, it speaks in binary, the language of Leibniz. When a factory produces thousands of items per hour, it follows the philosophy of automation pioneered by Jazari. When a chip performs a logical operation, it obeys the rules of Boole. Even the idea of programming traces back to a loom in the 1800s. Modern technology didn't appear out of thin air. It is a mosaic built by Greek astronomers, Islamic engineers, European philosophers, French weavers, and Victorian mathematicians. People separated by centuries, cultures, and languages, yet united by a single ambition: to understand the world, to automate it, and to push the limits of what is possible. So the next time you tap a screen or search for something online, remember this: you are interacting with a legacy that began in the ancient world, a legacy crafted by the true hidden architects of the digital age, and their story, though ancient, lives on in every click you make.